Well, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Traders Around the World. Welcome to your North American Into the Open session here. And we are going to be executing live trades today. First, we're going to start off with understanding how the market is positioned after what we saw from Micron yesterday and the data this morning. And then look at the technical flow on a multi-time frame basis, and then move right into some live execution. I hope folks are doing well. A very good morning, good afternoon, good evening. To traders around the world. Looking very much forward to navigating markets here with you. So without further ado, let's get right into it, folks. Give me a good to go in the chat if you are seeing me, hearing me, and all is good, and you're ready to rock and roll. Looks like folks are ready to rock and roll. So we had quite a reversal yesterday, didn't we? We had quite a reversal off of lows on Micron. And inflation data did not come in warmer. It came in line with the consensus estimate, and some of the durable goods data came in a little bit better. But let me get us orientated to this market. Everything that I do and say here, folks, is for education and insight purposes only. It's not meant as advice. I'm not a registered financial advisor or representative. You must consult yours before making any trading decisions. Trading involves risk, not just reward. Risk of loss. Trade with money you can wholly afford to lose. When I trade, it's always in line with my risk trading plan, which is unique to me and might not be suitable to you. Consult your registered financial advisor or representative and get a risk trading plan. Whether I'm discussing past trades taken, doing live trades in front of you, coming up with plans and projections for future potential trades, whether I'm doing any or all of the above in any combination with respect to a live cash account, a demo account, or a prop trading account, it's all done for education and insight purposes only. It's not meant as advice. Finally, if I poll you in the chat and I give you an average response back to the poll, the sentiment there is not necessarily indicative of the sentiment of our entire group, just those responding. I don't audit the chat, so do take that stuff as anecdotal. Looks like we are all good to go. Lots of folks in seats ready to rock and roll. Well, let's get right into it then, folks. So I want to start off by taking you right over here first. So what you're looking at right now is a chart of the NASDAQ. It's a day-over-day picture on the NQ, the NASDAQ E-minis. We saw an incredible reversal yesterday off of Micron's earnings. We can kind of break down the daily bars, and you can see that incredible reversal going from the 29,200s all the way up to 30,000, almost 200. It was an incredible run. So Micron did rescue the market, and the market was in wait. Okay, it did rescue the market, and what I theorized was, well, watch your back as you get through the open of the next day. This is stuff that you heard from me yesterday, because the inflation data might come in warmer. It didn't. So what did we see at 8:30? Well, at 8:30, when the data broke, we did actually get a little push up. All of that's been retraced. Now, the question mark that we have to ask ourselves is, with what we've got happening or happened that's already in play already at a market level right now, are we in a spot? Oh, pardon me for a second. It looks like I might have moved screens the wrong way. I have to bring this screen over to the other side. So you probably saw a chart in my camera window. Let me bring this on the screen so it's a little easier for you to see it rather than looking through my little camera window there. Okay. So here we go. The NASDAQ E-minis on a day-over-day basis, big reversal. That reversal was, astounding, incredible, all of that kind of stuff. And you can see it right over here, running all the way up, right? So from the 29,200s all the way up to the 30,100s. And we have to ask ourselves the question, is there more left to go over here? Is there more left to go? Now, my bias on the day, which is a great question, is that we are likely going to try to make a higher high, but we'll fail to hold it. And I want to give you the very clean levels that we're coming at this stage, so that you can kind of get a good sense of, hey, are we out of that kill zone? What do we need to get above? So let's get right into that. But I want to give you that posture so you know that we're in an uptrend channel off of lows, effectively, that were made after the sell-off, on the 22nd, 23rd, in the wee hours of the morning, inclusive of the sell-off yesterday before the reversal. So we're now in an uptrend channel on the NQ, similar on the same on the ES, uptrend channel as well. Obviously, this is about the NQ more so than it is about the ES. So what are some of the key levels here? We got well above 29,820, right? That's in the rear view mirror. It's now this pivot level, 30,113, and it's this DeMark support 1 weekly pivot line at 30,285. So those are two structures on the chart that we can utilize to help us make decisions. Below 30,113, we've got to watch our backs. We could see a reversion back down or to the center of the range. While we remain above 30,113, biases towards the retracing back up towards the highs of the session or higher, getting up to the 30,285 area. And above there, it opens the door for a retrace to these nested volume point of control lines in the mid 30,400. So 30,450, 30,460 in that territory. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to break this down by looking at the technical picture with you and get right into the idea of, hey, is this market set up to actually explode higher? You know, we've gotten a big push up. Have we used up all of that bullish juice or fuel, or is there more left? Well, the answer is that there's more left if we get above a key level. And that key level is the slow speed line and the DeMark support 1 level. So that DeMark support 1 level is sitting right here, 30,285. Okay, that's a weekly pivot line. So it's that number, 285. And the slow speed line on the daily NASDAQ chart, which is sitting effectively at 30,200. So we've got a band of resistance between 30,200 to roughly 300. That band of resistance is what we're dealing with in order to help you, help me make better decisions. If I want to have clean long side trades, do I want to take trades as it's trying to etch its way into that? There may be some scalps. I'm more interested in trading above the 30,285. Now, if we struggle and we're not able to get above that area and we keep, butting our heads up against it, we're going to have to pull back, refresh, rejuvenate, refuel, and then probably come at it again. So there's a little misalignment in the signal structure here, but the very simple point is the daily chart's in a buy signal state. Hourly charts in a buy signal state, 5 minutes in was in a buy signal state. It's the 4-hour chart that's not in a buy signal state as of yet. So let's go take a look at that right now. The daily chart, champion trend, champion cross, all there. We're not seeing the dots at the bottom of the main chart here, those green dots telling us that all is well, but we've had an incredible reversal. We have to understand that reversal is very powerful for the market. Let's go take that now to the 4-hour time frame. What does the 4-hour chart tell us? We're still in a sell signal state. We obviously had a big, reversal up on the 2 p.m. Eastern time 4-hour bar, and we continue to, consolidate and grind up. We need to get above the top lip of this 3-line channel. It's called the MSR channel, moving support and resistance channel. The top of the channel is sitting at 30,322. Actually, no, my apologies, 30,285. Isn't that interesting? It's literally right at that same line, which is the DeMark support 1 weekly pivot line. It's literally sitting right there. So right in that territory, right there, that's where we need to see price get above to open up a little bit cleaner long side trading. But look, we've already had a massive move in the market, right? So it's already happened. We've consolidated. We're trying to continue. And the technical signals at this stage are not robust enough to say all will be well. But if I have to lean to one side or the other, it's going to attempt another move up. Does it require a pullback to refresh, rejuvenate first before it can bounce up? Perhaps. And right now, we may be seeing exactly that. So right now, we are below the challenge line of 30,285. We're below the challenge line, which is the center of the MSR channel at 30,151 effectively. And that's problematic. Okay, that's problematic. Let's go down to the hourly chart and see what that looks like from a signal standpoint. We are in a buy signal state. Now, why does the hourly chart matter? Each time frame has its own projection, or it casts its signal out into the future by a certain number of minutes, hours, days. The 1-hour chart tends to cover the next 3 to 6 hours into the future. It's a range, obviously. It's a very fast market. It could be less than 3 hours in terms of its signal throw. If it's a very slow market, it could be 6 hours or more. But right now, the hourly chart, which is the day trader's boss at the end of the day, is saying what? We're in a buy signal state. It's not extraordinarily robust. We're literally trying to turn the corner from red to green. And we have, right? We've gone from a champion cross sell zone, champion trend sell zone, to a champion trend buy zone, champion cross buy zone. The triple S indicator has gone green. You've got that green triangle there. We've got a orange ball underneath price here, which is called wealth signal. which typically means that we've got more of the trend in front of us than behind us. So if you're picking up what I'm putting down, the analytics are the hourly chart, which is the boss of the day trader, is saying that we are likely going to see an upward move, right? What I've done already for you, I hope, is giving you an idea that there are going to be challenge lines. And that challenge line of most importance is 30,285. Above that 30,285 marker, it opens up room into the 30,000, mid 400s to 500s. So that space right there is a very interesting long side trading space if we are able to get into it. And the probability of getting into it is higher based on the existing signal that we are seeing on the hourly chart. Let me know if that makes sense to you. Type in a lucky number 7 in the chat and share that with me. And then we can move forward from there. So it looks like folks are getting the message. It's making some sense. Okay. All right. Looks like we're good. Okay. Well, thank you folks for participating in that. I appreciate that. Let's continue on with the conversation here now as we're getting closer and closer to the open. I'm going to take it down to a 5-minute chart in just a second, but I want to understand where that key support resistance is on that 1 hour chart. See these blue and magenta lines? These are what we call speed lines. The fast speed line is blue, slow speed line is magenta, fast is above slow, so that's good. Okay, the champion cross zone is in and around 30,130-ish, and then we've got the channel down over here. So if we start to see action slip right out of the gates and take us down below 30,130, 125, we could see a slip down to the 30,060-ish area. If we see price action sustain above 30,170, 180, we're headed up to 285 likely. So let's now zoom into the 5-minute chart. Look at the existing signal. It's a buy signal. We've got about 2 minutes before the cash hours open. And my expectation right at the cash hours open is that we are probably going to see the armchair athletes with pent up buy orders, push the market up. Now, if I don't see that, that's abnormal. If I see a massive round of profit taking, we see a big red bar form right as soon as we get out of the open, it may change my bias on the day. It may indicate to me that we've used up most of the bullish fuel, and we're going to spend the majority of the morning, going down to find a floor and then bobbing around on that floor rather than actually continue a trend up. So, the open does matter. Let's go down to a 1-minute chart right now where my execution should be on screen on the right-hand side. It is perfect. So the 1-minute chart had that big push up during the release of the inflation data, waxed and waned down, came back, did a full round trip, sniffed it out as support. It's holding. And now really the question mark is, can we continue higher? What I'm seeing from, the market, the NASDAQ obviously does not operate in a vacuum. The other indices affected, other asset classes affected, undercurrents, themes, positioning. It's probably the second most complex organism in the world, second to the human mind. So if you think about the things that tug at the market or the market tugs at, things like what the market's priced in, the US dollar. Is the US dollar starting to slow down in its rise? Yes. Now that does not necessarily mean it's going to become a tailwind for the market, but it's in that setup. And we're seeing that for gold and silver too. So we're seeing the euro slow down in its decline. That means the dollar is slowing down in its rise, which can be a macro neutral to tailwind for the market. We'll monitor that as needed as we move through the session. Right now, I want to keep that focus in on the NASDAQ, much more so than the S&P E-mini. So the first bars out of the gates, we saw a little dip, didn't take us below the low, and we're getting a push up. I'm going to see if I can ride the armchair athletes on the way up. I've taken on one long side trade right out of the gates. It's not profit positive yet. I don't want to see it break down on me. It might. It's a very risky trade right out of the gates. And I'm not seeing it work just yet, but we're holding that low. And if we get pushed back up, I'm going to see this thing swing right back up into profit positive territory, but it could go wrong on me. It was a very, very risky trade. I have to get out of it. Unfortunately, it did not work out. So that was me trying to showboat right out of the gates. It did not work out, and that happens. We'll have to deal with that. Let me now take you over to that 5-minute chart to see if we're coming down to that final support structure. That final support structure is sitting down in at 30,105. 30,105 has been tested effectively. It's holding. So what I'm seeing out of the gates right now is concerning to me. So let me bring up the other chart on screen here for you so you can see what I'm talking about over here. So bear with me for a moment here. Let's put that in over here and grab that up here on screen for you. So what I'm seeing out of the gates right now is a little concerning for me from two standpoints, right? We should not be seeing an immense round of profit taking if the trend is likely to continue. We should have been seeing much more buying come in. And I had a backdrop that was supportive. It did not, unfortunately, work out over there. Let's go directly now into the 5-minute time frame of the NQ and take a look at where we are against structures here so we can help make some good decisions as we move forward. So that initial move, very risky. It didn't work out. We saw the profit taking from the move. We were in a sell signal state on a 1-minute chart, but we were in buys in the other time frames leading up to the hour. So that was supportive for up, but unfortunately it did not shoot up and we're continuing to come down. I'm not willing to short this just yet. Right? I'm still waiting to see if I can get an opportunity to turn this thing around here and play the long side of the trade. So bear with me for a moment over here while I take a quick look at the ES as well and get a good sense of whether or not I can turn this thing back into a long side trading environment for myself if we're bouncing off the right structures. So I'm not there yet, still watching and waiting. We're slowing down in the decline at this moment in time. That slowdown in the decline is not yet turned into a bounce, but it's getting close. It's getting close. And I don't want to bias myself to the upside only. I want to be very clear that it could turn around. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I have to deal with that. That will then be a market that is probably going to be less interesting over the course of the morning. We are continuing down. Profit taking is continuing to happen here, and we're coming down to the center of this channel. So this becomes the next location that we are headed down to. Potential shorts can work down to that area. I'm going to wait on that to see if I get a bounce off of that area. If we slice right through it, I'm going to be looking for potentially short side trades at that point. So I'm going to just pop up my 1-minute chart again here for you. We are in a sell signal state on the 1-minute chart. The 5-minute chart at this moment in time has converted over to a sell as well. The 1-hour chart has come into a rising support structure. Now we've moved into a kill zone technically on that 1-minute time frame, which is not ideal because we can get whipsawed, but we're headed down towards the center effectively of that 1-hour chart's MSR channel. This is the area where we should be able to see some sort of a bounce. This is that area, but it's not bouncing just as of yet. It's been a straight down bar for the first 5-minute bar of the day. And we are getting to that very oversold territory. We're coming down into the area where we popped up yesterday to sniff it out as support. It is breaching the consolidation area after yesterday's big move up. But now it's holding. This should be an area where support holds. This should be an area where a turnaround can happen. And I might be able to capitalize on an oversold bounce. Do I want to wait for it to firm up into buy signal states across all time frames? Potentially, because we're now in a kill zone. So I may have to wait it out here and make that decision as we move forward if it holds. Let's go over to the ES for a second over here and take a look at the ES and give you some some thoughts on where the S&P E-minis are likely going to go from here. So bear with me for a moment while I pop that up onto your screen. And here we go. One more second over here. I just need to move things around on my machine here. My apologies. I'm still getting fully comfortable with my new setup over here. Okay, I think I'm good to go. And this should do the trick. Okay, so what I want to do right now is just understand the interplay between both the S&P E-minis and the NASDAQ, right? So are we in a very different setup for both? We're virtually in the same setup. We're in an oversold bounce right now on the ES on a 1-minute chart, 5-minute chart. You can see the reversions that are starting to happen, but they're reversions to falling resistance. So if the first order out of the gates was folks wanted to take profit from the big burst up last night and the continuation yesterday, it indicates to most folks out there that the buyers are not going to be that plentiful. We'll have to have something new happen. That could be a level break. right? Could be a level break to get us into a better spot, but that level break would have to be on the ES above 74.95. That's the major resistive area. The major support area, which is a water line going back to May the 1st, is sitting in and around the 74.70 area. So as far as I'm concerned right now, no trade for me just yet. A potential oversold bounce is in motion right now. And the ES is moving largely in tandem. Oh, I'm not sure what I hit there. Oh, instead of F11, I hit F12. Let's move that now off the screen. And let's get over to looking at the market as we were a moment ago. Bear with me for a moment here to get this back up on your screen. Should be there now. Perfect. Okay, 1 minute chart, getting back there. Are we in a resumption sell? Can I take a short here? We are in a sell signal state. I think that what we're seeing is profit taking out of the gates. There's only so much that's going to happen. And I think more can happen if we eat into about a third of the overall range from yesterday. And we still have a long ways to go for that kind of move to happen, right? Coming down to right around here, right around the 29,000, well, 820 area and breaching that becomes problematic. Otherwise, I think what we're seeing is profit taking that will establish a floor, and then we're going to try to bounce back up off that floor. The weather vanes that I'm looking at that the market's connected to support more upside action rather than downside action. So at this stage, still waiting and looking for an opportunity to take on potentially a long side trade if we've established a floor. If we want to continue lower, and this is a bear flag, I could try a scalp-like short, and I might just be doing that if we're breaking the low here. And I'm trying one right now. It is profit positive. Let's see if we can get a little more out of it or any more out of it. And I will take $150 of profit on that little scalp short there, waiting for a clean opportunity to see the profit taking out of the gates complete. And what I want to figure out is where is that completion area? So I think that we're nearing it. You know, the center of the 1 hour charts MSR channel is really a good area for about the upper half is a good area for a bounce. And we're in the upper half. So if it's not able to hold 29,980, 985, then we are probably headed down to the bottom. You know, we're headed down to retrace down to the bottom of the MSR channel. So this is the next judgment moment. 29,985 is being engaged with at this moment. We're almost there. And if we breeze right through it, we're in a pervasive sell then on a 5 minute chart. We're already there on a 1 minute chart. You just saw me scalp a short profitably on that. I'm going to wait patiently right now to see if the level holds. And I want to also look at the interplay between the ES and the NQ. Now, one of the hard parts about a continued direct rise from the open is placement against statistical tools that would tell us that we're very far away from normal. We've gotten very stretched. But the idea is, if we are going to uptrend for the balance of the morning, we would see less folks take profit and push things down. Now, the opposite has happened. More folks took profit. It's pushed things down, but not yet to a degree that has broken the back of the market. If we go and take a look at the daily chart, we are in between both of the speed lines, right? We're not yet below the bottom speed line as of yet. That's pretty much where the lows are. When we look at the 4 hour chart, which we know is in a sell signal state, it's coming down to the last legs of support that it has, which is roughly 30,000. And we're there, we're in that territory right now. So we're right at the edge of the abyss. The hourly chart's holding. It's slowed down and it's selling at the center of its MSR channel. Breaching below the center can open up more shorts. So opportunistically, I would look for another short then below there, but not right now. Right now, I'm just going to wait and see if the market perforates that area. So we're holding still. Now we're coming down to 85, and we might be breaching 85. And this is that area where we're deeply oversold, but we can have another leg down. So if we're going to have another leg down, it's down to about 920. 915, 920. And I may want to take advantage of a little short opportunity here, but I am concerned with how oversold we are. Nonetheless, we are starting to move down. The next line for me is 55, and I'm going to take that short on 55. I want to see if we get a direct move down. I'm seeing it, and I'm taking $95 of profit on that little scalp. I want to see a little bit more down to about 915, 920. And if we breach the 915, 920 area, that becomes really problematic, right? We effectively are then below the MSR channel. We've eaten into more than a third at that point of the big launch bar here. And these are hourly bars now that you're looking at. And that will open the door for a retrace all the way down to that key water line, which was 29,820. So the thinking that I had yesterday was that we're probably going to be in a market that struggles with a hotter inflation print and comes back down. We're coming back down. We didn't get a hotter inflation print, though. It came in line with the consensus estimate. The core durable goods data beat. And now we're approaching a very dangerous level of support, which is around the 29,915 area. And it's still hammering at it pretty violently. So there's likely going to be a breach here. At some point, though, there's going to be a turn and a snap where the profit taking ends. Now, I theorize there can be three different areas: top of the channel, center of the channel, bottom of the channel. Now that we're coming down below the bottom of the channel, it's hard to avoid the idea that it's going to just keep going. I'm trying one more short over here real quick. Looks like it's profit positive. I want to see if I get a whoosh down here. I don't want to see any negativity on this. So if I see even a little negativity, like I got negative 15 bucks there, I'm out of the trade. I want to see whoosh and continue. We're at the bottom. We're below the bottom of the 1 hour chart channel, right? This is the area where it should just whoosh, whoosh, whoosh down towards the 29,820-ish area. And to be very clear, the 29,820-ish area is a very dangerous area for the NASDAQ. So if you take a look at it, here it is. Remember that volume profile lip that I continued to talk about? From the beginning of the week to now, 29,810, 820 is where it's sitting right now. That is the next danger line. If we come down to that volume profile node and bust it, we're then going to be moving into really the chance for a full retrace down. I don't think that's going to happen, but we're testing it right now, right? We're sitting on it at this moment in time. Let me move this chart to the side. And let's go take a look at whether or not I can continue to play short over here, because it's not abating. It is just not abating. Now, I don't want to get caught with a risk reversal. So I'm going to see if there's any opportunity for resumption on back tests of falling resistance. Otherwise, it's going to be just sell to buy, short it to cover it a little lower and lower and lower and lower. It's kind of like buying high to sell higher. Not my favorite thing to do. Okay, so green bar, backing away from the sell trigger. If it just whooshes and unravels below the low of the last bar, I could try a scalp short. So I've got my finger on the trigger for that in the case that that does present. So waiting patiently, evaluating whether or not the move is valid to reshort. Don't want to get myself too distracted here with the chat. Okay, I'm trying it. So we did come down. We did make a lower low. I want to see if we get a whoosh here. If we're getting a reversion back up, I have to get the heck out of the way. I'm not interested in staying if we're reverting back up, because this did have green on the bar. And there is your indecision. Is it continuation after a little pause? That can be a resumption trade on the short side. But at some point, we're going to have a reversion that'll be pretty violent on the way back up. And this might be the beginnings of just that. And that does not look like it's the case. So I'm going to give it one more go here on the short side. See if I can get a whoosh to a much lower low. There we go. There we go. And okay. About $300 of profit on that one. And waiting patiently now to see if we get reversion to the mean starting, or is it just a free fall from here? Now, what I'm looking at right now is a full retrace back down. The whole thing is just being slammed right back down. And, you know, this is not far off of what we thought would be likely the case. You know, you heard it in Insight yesterday, but it was a little surprising right out of the gates that it just happened as quickly as it did. And look, we have to deal with what is right now. So the 4-hour chart ended up being correct. We are coming back down now. We're well below 29,800. We're in a spot right now where continuation down is, you know, it's not hard to imagine. We're headed down to a very straightforward support zone, which is still lower than where we are, the center of the daily charts MSR channel, and that would be 29,440. So that's another 150, 60, 70 points lower than where we are now. The only way to turn this thing back around is to see it back up above 820, which is that key volume profile node. That volume profile node would have to be surmounted again. And that's not in sight just yet. That's 200 points higher. So at this stage, looking for the next short is really the deal here. 1-hour chart is very clearly turned back into a sell state overall, almost from the champion trend pack standpoint. From a triple S standpoint, it's there. 5-minute charts there on both accounts. And we're headed down towards the center of the daily charts MSR channel. So can I just continue to try to take shorts down to 450, 420? We're at 590 right now. And that's effectively what I'm considering. We're also coming down to VWAPs on the day for the NASDAQ. Against yesterday's VWAP cone values, we're coming down to yesterday's VWAP effectively. So this could be a mathematical bounce area. Oil's rising slightly, adding some concern to the market move, but we are coming down to yesterday's VWAP, which is also a mathematical bounce area. And I'm waiting to see if that turns into anything before I take another trade. Okay, so 450 is the next support destination. I got a little whoosh bar right there. I want to see if that whoosh bar follows through to the downside. If it starts to rip up, I'm not going to stay in it. Okay, we get above 60. I have to get out of the way of that trade. If we come down below the low of the bar, we're headed down to 450, and I can try a short again below the low of the bar. I don't want to get caught in green bars though. We're getting really oversold. So I'm not willing to sustain that trade anymore. So I'm going to wait now. I'm going to let it settle itself out and figure out whether or not it wants to effectively come down to the center of the daily charts MSR channel or not. 425 effectively, 430, 445, my apologies, is that target. If we are going to come back down. We're getting a bit of an oversold bounce starting to form right now. We have not yet come up above resistive structures that say the bounce can bloom. So I'm seeing erosion start to form again. I'm going to take you back to the shorter time frame here. We've got a pinch in the speed lines. We have an absence of breakout forecasters, which are these dashes, which could mean the end of the sequence. And we can have a counter trend bounce that's fairly dramatic back up. Well, I could opportunistically try to trade it, but it could be whack-a-mole down at any moment. So I'd rather trade short again on a resumption based on what we've seen. because we have not yet made it all the way down to a level where we could reasonably then say, okay, if it holds the center of the MSR channel on the daily chart, that can become support. That's a water line where we can see lows that happened here. They came back to that water line. It's right in that 450-ish area. So if I get a resumption short opportunity, which would be below the speed lines, somewhere down around the 575 area, I could try that. And I would be amenable to trying that. Let's see if we get that breach down to it. We're at 25, 585, 590. See if we break 75. We just hit 78. Let me move my cursor out of the way. We just broke it. I missed my entry, but I'm trying it still. I'm in. Looks like it started a little profit positivity, but it's just not continuing yet. We should be seeing a whoosh now that can take it down below the low of the last the last set of lows, but I'm not seeing it follow through. It wants to be whippy over here and try to come back up. So I'm still in the trade, and I'm going to take the profit while I have it. I'm going to take about $380 of profit. Now, if this green bar that's trying to get off the mat again reverses back down, makes a lower low, takes out its low, I could come back into that trade. But we're seeing a bit of a divergence form at this stage. We've got effectively similar lows, but a higher low in the triple S indicator. So that's a little concerning to me. That gives me cause for pause. So at this stage, I'm gonna wait this little moment out. The 5-minute chart's pretty clear. Sell signal state, full throttle. The 1-minute chart's giving me a little positive divergence. It's still in a positively divergent setup. And we are headed down to 445, which is support. So I think I'm going to avoid this last little bit. Look, it could open up another range. If it opens up another range for shorting, it would be below the center of the daily chart's MSR channel. Is there anything on the 4-hour chart that's holding it up? Nothing. Nothing on the 4-hour chart. There's no support structures underneath price that you can see from the indications. On the 1-hour chart, there's nothing below price. Obviously, on the 5-minute, there's nothing below price. And on the 1-minute chart, we're getting this positive divergence where we've made a lower low in price, but we've made a higher low in the indicators in the subchart, in particular, the triple S line itself. So if we get a convergence, it comes down and makes a lower low, and the triple S line makes a lower low, then the writing's on the wall. Back down we go. But in this little phase, it can be trappy, and I don't want to try it here. We may end up hitting that 445 area. We're darn near close to it right now. We're at 465. Still don't have that convergence, so I'm staying away from the trade at this moment because I've been trapped in these moments before, and I don't want to repeat that. But I can resume the short if I've got a convergence. So there's 445 effectively hit. Right, we've effectively come down and tested the center of the daily chart's MSR channel. And this is that next event technically that can happen, right? We breach it, we break it, we come down below it. It becomes much more clear that we're going to have an even deeper sell-off. It's hard to imagine that will be the case here. Right, but we are in a pervasive sell at this stage. We're 10 points, 5-10 points below the line, and we're continuing lower. Now we're right at the point where the divergence goes away. And I'm considering a short below the lows. So I'm taking one on. It went profit positive. I want to see if it stays that way. I don't want to see rip up behavior here that goes against me. Okay, we're below 445, so we're opening up that room. This is also a sticky area where price can find its way back up. So I took a small, tiny hit right there, but I'm okay being out because this is that area. Either it wants to whoosh or it doesn't. And it does want to whoosh. I'm not in the trade right now, so I'm feeling a case of the shoulda, woulda, couldas. But let's recenter on which way this goes. And I think it is due time as well to look at this on the S&P E-mini side as well to get a good sense of whether or not it's coming down to make lower lows that can break things quite violently. It is. I'm seeing that on another screen. but I'll bring that up. So we're about 100 points below the 445 area right now. Resumption short is all I'm going to be looking for. I think we're targeting the lows that we had on the 2 p.m. 4-hour bar yesterday, which is sitting in and around the 250 area. So if I get a resumption short opportunity, I'll look for that. If we get a reversal now that takes us back above 445, the market's effectively saying it's probably done for a while on the selling. And that's the center of the daily charts MSR channel. And lo and behold, we're almost back up to it. Not quite above it yet. Not quite above it yet. Yeah, it's a very, I would agree with that, Kerry. It has been a dramatic turnaround. Shocking, surprising, trauma drama, all of that is definitely here. So the last time we saw green bars, we've seen it twice. They had two, and then it resumed back down. We had two, and it resumed back down. So if we're gonna look at charts for pattern, we should at least consider that it's gonna be a couple of green bars before a resumption short can take place again. But we've made lower lows without really seeing the subchart indicator make lower lows. It effectively made the same lows, slightly higher. And this is probably the most important because it comes from the biggest time frame that we utilize, which would be the daily chart. The biggest time frame that we utilize is saying, hey, there is support right here at the center of the daily charts MSR channel, right? And it's crawled its way back up to it. So at this moment in time, we are still holding in that area. We're actually above that line, or at that line as we speak right now. And this could be the beginning of the end of the down for a little while. There usually are echoes after a big quake like this, but I think we've already seen the echo. And look, if it wants to resume selling, we know that there's usually the third bar goes red and down we go. So is the third bar going red? It's starting to. I might want to try it. I'm in it. I'm just following the pattern, right? The pattern is all I'm playing at this stage. Two green bars, next bar is red, and it goes down. And this one's not going down. It's coming up off the lows. If it comes back down below the low, I'm going to have to wait for the low effectively at 29,330 to break. And then I know I'm targeting 29,250-ish, which is the low of the 4-hour bar from 2 p.m. yesterday. So my finger's on the trigger, getting ready to play the pattern out. And for the folks who are listening in, pattern effectively is we get two green bars on the way down, third bar goes red, and down we go for another leg down, which could be the case here, right? Could be the case. This time, it's looking a little different. Starting to make some sense to me if it holds support here and tries to bounce. If it doesn't, if it makes a lower low, I'm in for the trade. Right now, I'm not. I'm just going to wait. And this is also, the moment of highest risk where we could end up seeing it whipsaw. But if the pattern wants to continue, I'm in for it. I'm in for it. I'm trying it. I got in. I'm not seeing it work right away. Seeing it come back up. And if that bar starts to go green, I have to get the heck out of the way. If it continues down and makes the lower low, it should start to unravel at a faster pace. And we should be headed down towards the 250 area, which is what seemingly is happening right now. And I'm going to take $250 of profit on that. I like taking pieces along the ride, especially when we're in a critical area. So is there a change happening right now is the question mark, right? Are we in a spot where a change may be afoot? We've come down. We haven't taken out the low from yesterday. We've come very close to it. We're out of support structure. Market had a traumatic turn down. and I'm looking for the next setup over here. Is the bearishness going to get bearisher, or are we going to see a reversion to the mean? If there was going to be a reversion to the mean, this is that time. And for the S&P E-mini fans in the room, let me take you there as well, because I'm not going to play a counter trend up just yet, not just yet. But we should go and take a look at the damage that's been done on the S&P E-mini side. And is it too at a support area that makes sense? Or is it just consolidating to continue bearishly down? So the answer to the question is not clean yet, but we are seeing a change in pattern, right? Just basic pattern, okay? We started to move down, 2 bars green. We moved down dramatically. We had the aftershock after 2 bars green. We had 2 bars green. I caught some shorts profitably. And now we're not seeing as much follow through to the downside, right? We've started to see 2 bars go green. We're seeing an up move right now. So this is that area where very, very clearly one wants to, go back, look at that 440, 450 area, acknowledge that it's the center of the daily charts MSR channel. The value's changed a little bit. It's at 29,436 right now. 435, and back above there, I don't want to be shorting anymore. And we are back above it at this moment in time. We can have a rush up right now that could take us up all the way up to 600 or 590. That can happen much quicker than one thinks. It'd be a very risky trade. Above 500, it can be viable. I'm considering it. It would be a very brief engagement if it was to come to fruition. I've tried it. It's very risky, and it can implode on me very quickly. So I want to be very careful with it. Very careful. I'd rather take 145 of a hit rather than have it turn into something else, because it's it is effectively a counter trend trade. It is moving up to that location though. We should see it slow down as it reaches 29,590, 580, 600. Those that are on it, kudos to you. That's great. Just be very careful with it, because it can get whack-a-mole back down from this location right around here, the 29,580 to 29,600. All right, so how are folks doing right now? Let me know. I know it was traumatic out of the gates. And George, that 10 a.m. bar is that reversal, right? It's uncanny how that works. I see, Donna, you mentioned it in there as well. Oh, it's nice to see some results there in the chat. All right, I'm seeing some wins in the chat. That's amazing. So we are now trying to build some support here. And really the question is this just simply a pause waiting for another round? Now we've had, if you look at this on the 5-minute time frame, right, this is the first green bar. It's not even closed yet, but it's likely going to close in the next few seconds here. There it is, okay? So it's the first green bar in this entire trauma drama down. We're seeing price get back above the speed lines. So ultimately, we have to look at this as, okay, the selling may be done. Where can we come up to in this part of the move? The max high would probably be 732 from where we are right now. And we know that there's resistance at 600, which we've been trying to etch through. So if we get above 600, right? I can look at that 5-minute chart and look at the structures on the screen and go, there's a champion trend sell zone trail line over there. It would be a counter trend trade, obviously, but it could be a long side trade above 600 up to about 730, right? That would be the insight. Now, if the trend continues, where does the door open for the trend to continue? So I go back and just look at structures on a multi-time frame basis. The daily chart, well, it would be the center of the channel, which is sitting at around 440. Okay, so if I take that, put the hourly chart against it, really no structures here to help me, put the 5-minute chart against it. Okay, 440. Well, the fast speed line is sitting at 440. So if the short's going to resume, it can start it to show itself below 440. Okay? And we could see an echo bounce, an echo sell-off, that would be. Okay, but above 600, 580 to 600, it can get squeezed right back up. And all we'd be seeing is not real fundamental buying. We'd be seeing bearish positions coming off the table in stages. So I'm going to look at that 1-minute chart. I'm going to game this area right here, 593. If we breach 593, I could see a trade that could materialize. It could take me into the mid to upper 600s, lower 700s. So I've got my plan on both sides. My finger's on the trigger. It's a high risk trade, obviously, because we're still working our way out of the selling. And it'll be like it'll snap if it happens. It'll snap and it'll get sucked up because it'll be another tranche of bearish positions covering if it does happen. And we're still not through that line yet. We're approaching it. And I've got my game plan down for where I would want to reshort things. Effectively where my horizontal crosshairs are on screen, around the 430, 440 area. But we should see one more tranche of bearish positions cover, and we're getting very close to the line that would need to be breached to, have that next tranche of bearish positions cover, which can add a little bit of mechanical rocket fuel to the market. So I'm trying it. I'm in it right now. I'm not seeing it follow through. It's a high risk trade. And if the bar starts to compress dramatically, I have to get out of the way, but we should be seeing it squeeze up now, up to the center of that MSR channel. Let's see if that next round of shorts, this is the battle, all right? Right here is the battle, right? The battle is on. New shorts coming in or existing shorts cover. That's the battle right now. Fingers on the trigger to get out if this doesn't work. There we go. See a little more if we can get some. I'm taking my profit. I'm going to try it again above the center of the MSR channel on the 1-minute chart. If we so should get up there, 630 is the number. Let's see if that gets breached. Again, this is very risky business because we're retracing back up. The mechanics at play here are different time frames of folks that have gotten short along the ride down are starting to cover. And I'm looking for a consolidated area where they cover and we get there it is, right? I'm trying it right now again. There we go. And I'm taking 145 of profit there. That trade is still valid. The next long can be taken on above 670, 680 in that territory. Now, for those who are trading, they retrace back up right now. There is a very good chance that the retrace stops at the halfway marker, which is, I'm just eyeballing it around the 800 marker. And we know 29,820 has got a volume profile node of resistance, but that theoretically is practically is the next target. So for those who are trying the long out, be very careful because it can whipsaw down at any moment. But the moment where it's most likely to fail to continue rising is around, 20-point radius around 29,800. There's obviously a failure chance at the channel here. I want to just go make sure that I am not off base with structures. Okay, 730. Champion trend sell zone trail line on the 5-minute chart has to be acknowledged. 782. Fast speed line on the hourly chart has to be acknowledged. So 730 to 780 is a tricky area. And we are still facing resistance at the top of the channel. The question mark is there enough negativity abound at this stage to have another round of, institutional size, hedge fund size shorts come into play? And if it's going to happen, all I'm saying is somewhere between 730 to 820, is the range where that can start to happen again. Could it happen sooner? Yeah, but that would be the area that has the most likelihood. So I'm considering another high risk long. Last couple were profitable, but I do really need to see more progress above the top of this 1-minute chart MSR channel. And I want to bring the ES into the picture. I have not covered enough of it, and I know there's lots of ES traders in the room. So let me just get that on screen for you right now and see what's going on with that. Nope, something's wrong there. So that's on me. I moved my dashboards around too quick. So I'm going to see if I can get that redone properly. I think the way to do it is just dock the browser properly, and that should work. There we go. Okay, now I haven't covered the ES as much during the session because this is all obviously a lot about Micron and the NASDAQ overall. First trade out of the gates was a little rough. I've been grinding my way back up. It's working. What I need at this stage is some clarity on whether or not another round of shorts is going to come into play. And, can we get back to trading with the trend on the short side? The primary market would need to come down below 74.30 to tell us that, this thing is going to start to unravel again. 74.30 is also the center, 31.30 is the center of the daily charts MSR channel. We've already been down here. We've seen shorts cover. It's given us that mechanical lift. We're holding above the center. So, I don't want to, I don't desire an outcome. I want to observe whether or not the next round of shorts is going to come into play. And do I get to short again and trade with the trend on the way back down? Below 74.30, the ES becomes shortable again, and I could try it there. So I'm considering that. And the NQ is not quite yet down to 29,450. It's at 560 right now. Now, the opportunistic bottom feeding bounce long type trades maybe seeing some profit taking themselves right now. My concern is, hey, if the aggressive bearish positions want to come back in play, I want to see more signs of that. And breaking structures, mathematical structures of support would go a long way to supporting that. 74.30 breaking would become shortable. And right now, we're not there, so no trade for me. Right. NQ is sitting at 600 right now, all right? So it may actually be longable. I'm getting a long signal tentatively on the 1-minute chart for the ES. It's working against the sell signals on the 5-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, and daily chart. So very, very challenging to want to try the long and feel great about trading on that side. Ideally, it comes back down and we have the ability to short it again, but so far that's not presented. Okay. Getting closer. And if we breach 32 effectively, 74.32, the trade is down to 27 or lower. 27 effectively is the support of the slow speed line. There we go. We're hitting it. We've tagged it. We're breaching it. I'm in the trade. I have to give this a moment to breathe. There it is. And I'm taking some profit, 112 bucks or so, a little before hitting the support structure. If we breach the support structure at 26, I could try the trade again on the short side. And what I'm trying to understand right now is whether or not the NASDAQ is seeing another round of shorts really come into play. You know, we're getting very close to the 29,450-ish area. For, you know, give or take 10 points around it. That's a very important support area on the NQ. It's been damaged, but we've come right back up above it. And right now, I'm not seeing the primary market S&Ps breach that next support. So I'm going to flip us back real quick to the NASDAQ because it's the lead market in this case, in any case. So let's just flip back over there and take a look at what it's saying to us. You know, the daily chart on the NQ has support at the center of the MSR channel. The value is sitting at 440 effectively. And we're at 540 at this moment in time. We were nearing it, but it's backed up off of it. So what we were working on earlier, what I was working on earlier is, hey, I might be able to try something on the long side, you know, as we approach, as we get above 600, try to approach 730 to 780, which we know is a resistive zone. That hasn't materialized yet either. But are we in a bottoming pattern? Are we in a sideways range? Right? If we're in a sideways range, we haven't come down back to the bottom of the range, that's for sure. If we're in a bottoming pattern, you get evidence of that above the last local high. But there could be a long side trade before that. I don't think I'm going to try anything until we're at least above 600. And short side trade on the NQ could work out fairly well for it below 440, 445. Now, so my line right here where my horizontal crosshairs are is really what I would want to short below. Excuse me. My line for long above can start somewhere in the 620s, 630s. So 640, 29,440 for short. 440, 450 in that area. We're at 500. And for long, as challenging as it may be, you know, 600 to 630, somewhere in that area. So as you can see, I'm hovering over the sell button and I'm waiting to see if this little structure here ends up being, you know, a potential right shoulder of an inverted head and shoulders pattern. For those of you that are chart enthusiasts, that could be the left shoulder, head, right shoulder. And the neckline would effectively be 675, 680. And we're not dropping, right? So we're trying to pop up right now. We're not seeing another round of shorts come into play to break the market back down. And George, to your question, you know, could we have an echo move down? This is that negotiation right now, right? So if we're able to get above that local high right over here, the echo, another move down is very unlikely. We're going to make a run for, you know, the 29,730 to 820-ish area. And I might want to get me a piece of that. I don't know yet. Fingers on the trigger on the buy side. I'm taking on a long right now. It is profit positive. I want to see that remain. I don't want to see it implode on me. It's starting to implode, but we are retracing back up. This is the risk of trying this type of trade. I have to get out of the way on this one. We came back down below the MSR channel top. It's likely going to come back up again and give me the opportunity to trade it again, but I probably am going to try this on the ES at this time because I'm getting, pullbacks that are too significant on the NQ. So I'm going to try it on the ES instead. And it will be above the high of the last closed 1 minute bar, which takes us above the 5 minute charts MSR channel center. So above 61. I'll be trading it into a water line, which we know is major resistance. Here we go. Let's see if it wants to go. It slowed down in its incline or rise. So the obvious is this could be a bull flag that just breaks out, or this could be resistance holding where it turns down. I'm not going to theorize. I'm just going to make a decision based on the action. And right now it's coming back down, hasn't broken supports, backing away from the buy trigger. And what I'm trying to figure out now is whether or not we are in this echo, the beginning of an echo move back down again. With such a large amount of negative energy, it would not be strange for that to happen, but it should be happening in much faster order. And that's not the case right now. It's slow motion. So I'm not getting enough action that's clean enough for longs or shorts on the ES yet. I'll flip us back to the NQ. But let's hold on for a second. We're seeing some life breathe back into it right now. Let's see if that gets us anywhere. NQ is starting to break supports on a 1 and 5 minute chart. ES is almost there as well. And the NQ sitting at 550. It's pulling the ES down. I'm going to try a quick short here. It's profit positive. I want to see that go down towards the bottom of the MSR channel. I'm watching the NQ. I want to see if it continues to hammer down. It's sitting at 530. And you know what? I'm taking profit while I have it. The NQ is being, here, let me just bring it up so you can see it. It's being very whippy, not willing to follow through to the downside. But as it hammered down, I got a profitable short on the ES. It pulled the ES down. And no, yet again, maybe a higher low. If that is the case, well, we might be in a spot where up and away can take place. The hard part about trading along at this stage, even though we may be in a retrace back up that continues, is you've got overwhelming structures of resistance above price, right? Where we've already seen it, seen wicks, the size of 100 points, above these bars. So it can become very traumatic. Above 730, it's going to be probably slower on the rise, but from 730 to 850 is the next leg up, if you will, if it wants to open up. If it doesn't want to open up, back down to selling, and I kind of have to stick to the mid 400s at minimum, 475, before I consider shorting again. So I'm just redefining a long side and short side plan on the NQ. Long side plan on the NQ, get into the upper quartile of the wicks, somewhere around 29,670 for maybe a 60-point trade. That's what I'd be looking at. So right in around here. For a short side trade, the earliest would be probably 480, 475 or lower. And there might be a little pocket here at around 670 up to 750, 740, which it's leaning to. And I see some good questions on the admin side, right? Where folks are asking about layout codes and stuff like that. From 11 a.m. roughly to 11:30 a.m., we'll have more of a trade review Q&A period. So make sure you ask me those questions during that time, and I'll be sure to answer them. Right now, I want to keep my eyes focused on the next trading opportunity. And I think that, we're coming to the center of the hour. There's usually mechanical changes that happen at a market level, top of the hour, more significant than the center of the hour, but both are relevant. And again, just to repeat the plan, if I see action above 660, 670, I'm looking long on the NQ. If I see action below 500 to 480, I'm looking short. And right now we're stuck inside the moving support and resistance channel. We're in the lower half of the channel. We're still in a market that is well signaled to the short side, going from a 4-hour time frame all the way down to a 1-minute time frame. So the higher probability decision would be the short if the market makes it available. And Anka, to your question, we'll probably take a 5-minute breather at 11 a.m. Eastern time. For folks who are looking for when that break would happen, it would be at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So right now it's just a wait moment. I want to see if price action can get above the top of the 1-minute chart MSR channel. Now get into accelerating up towards the last set of highs. And then I'm going to look potentially long from there up into the 730 to 820, 830-ish area. And if the narrative behind what's going on at this stage is we've had at least 2 tranches of the bearish positions that were put on from cash hour start. Let's call it 1 to 2 tranches cover. Right? Now we want to see if the next round of bearish positions that are still holding on because they're still in the money from cash hours open, are they going to start covering and at what level? So I'm theorizing somewhere around the 660, 670, 680 area. We see acceleration through that. We are probably going to get, they're probably going to get worried about their shorts and start to expect that we're not coming down again, and they start to cover, and then it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, up and away we go. So that's one way this can play out. The other way it can play out is someone comes in and just knocks this thing down to below 500, and even more shorts just pile in on the tails of that, grabbing onto the coattails of that, and then down we can go to perhaps new lows. Right now it's leaning to the up. We're at 630. I need to see something in the 660, 670, 680 area to start being confident with a higher probability long. And for chart pattern enthusiasts, this would be like an ascending triangle where you've got supply around the 670, 680 area. And each time the sellers are in control of the tape, they're not stronger, right? We made a low, we made a higher low. Technically, this could be seen as a bit of a higher low too. And Robert P, that's a great insight. We are seeing oil up, which may be stifling the move up here, but it's starting to form, and I'm deciding whether I want to take it on the NQ or the ES. I prepared for the NQ, so I'm going to try it on the NQ. And it can happen very rapidly. So we're pretty much there. I'm not in the trade yet. My finger's on the trigger, button's depressed. It's hesitating a little bit, but let's see if it just slingshots right up through the highs that we made around 10:17, 10:18 a.m., 10:20 a.m. Okay, getting closer. Fingers on the trigger, buttons depressed. I'm in. And $525 for that initial trade. High risk. Wanted to take the profit while I had it there. Continuation up to the next line. 29,740-ish is the next line. Above there, what do we have to worry about that's resistance above there? Above 730, it's 800 to 840. Okay, so that's a nice little pocket. So what I hope you see is that the benefit of having a constant analytical framework going, so you constantly are looking at the pockets that are tradable, and then looking around the market to make sure that it's viable, which I'm continuously doing. For the ES traders in the room, okay, the major waterline that you've heard me talk about and show you on screen over and over again has to be, in the front of your mind. And I'm going to bring that up on your screen again over here. Remember, I keep going back to this volume profile thing. Where at the beginning of May, we've got a volume profile histogram. That's these bars. The most number of contracts have exchanged hands right there at around 74, 71. So if the NASDAQ is strong enough to continue higher, and it's able to keep going higher and higher, if it's able to do so, what is it going to what does it have to do to the ES to get both markets above water lines that are important? Well, if the NQ on its way up to 820, 830 can bring the ES up above 71, 72, we're probably not going to see a retrace back down for the balance of the morning. Then it's going to be about the next tranche of shorts covering. We've had probably 1 to 2 tranches cover, and then we'll, there's probably about 4 tranches that have come into play, and we'll be looking for the next 2 tranches to cover as the Nasdaq tries to pull us up. We're still not above 74.70, so there's no improvement there yet, right? We're in a buy signal state on a 1-minute chart. The sell signals are weakening on the 5-minute chart. You can see the double red dots going to single blue dots, but we're still bound by resistance of the channel. So I'm not seeing the NQ do enough for the ES at this stage. I'm happy I was able to get a little piece of that action on the pop up. We planned it. I took my money off the table quite quickly. I'm okay with that. The next real opportunity is break that champion trend sell zone trail line, which resides at 740. 740 breaks, we're coming up to somewhere in the low to mid 800s. So 820 to 850 becomes that zone. If the shorts want to reassert themselves, we're going to be obviously looking at the bleeding or lead. In this case, it would be the bleeding edge. It would be the 1-minute chart. And we'd need to come down below support of the channel in totality on the 1-minute time frame. And we know that there's support in the mid 400s, but there could be a short side trade from 580s down to the 450s, 440s. It's the less likely outcome based on the current market structure. It is more likely that those that are still holding shorts are seeing their profits erode, shorts from the open, that is. And at one point, there's going to be a consolidated amount of them, or let's call it a mass exodus of shorts for another tranche, and we can get rocket shipped up. That's a probable outcome, and I'm theorizing that it could start above 740. But if sellers come in and start breaking things down again, remember, we're in this well-aligned sell signal state, and I'm not averse to playing short. I think I'm going to try one below the MSR channel. I'm going to try it below at least 550 needs to be breached. 550 down to 475. And then there could be another round below 475. But I'm not optimistic or pessimistic about either direction, right? I just need to see the behavior into the next, theorized zone. So if we're coming up, and taking out the last, the local high that was made right here at 1033, which is where I had that $500 long side trade on one contract. I am going to look for acceleration above there. I'm not going to take that trade. I'm going to see if that acceleration breaches the 740 line, 740-ish line, and then I want to take it above there. For coming back down again, I want it to be, what I'd like to see is acceleration right down through 500. Right? That would be, just a slam down. That would be shocking and jarring, and really promote those that are holding short to stay in force, and more to come in. All right. So how is it working on your end right now, folks? Let me know. I see NQ Trader Soba say, come on, bulls, come on, bulls. Well, hey, look, it's really bearish positions covering, I think, and then folks riding the coattails of it. So that's happening. The next tranche for long is coming close to fruition. My finger's on the trigger. I'm waiting for 740. All right, we still haven't taken out the high from 1033. We're likely to. So I want to get ready. And we've already looked at this from a multi-time frame standpoint to understand where resistive structures are. Right? So we know that there's resistance locally right here at 740. And then when we look at other time frames, like the 5-minute chart, right, we've got resistance at 814 to 855. And just to be clear, the champion trend sell zone trail line on the 5-minute chart is at 730 as well. So the 1-minute and 5-minute chart have the same barrier to, well, pretty much, 10 point difference. For the NASDAQ, that's nothing. I'm going to wait for the 740 barrier. I'm getting ready, fingers on the trigger. And for ES traders, this is an exercise of about whether or not it can take the ES, the NQ can pull the ES above 74, 71, 72. And we're at 61 on the ES right now, so it's not done. It's not done it yet, and obviously we haven't opened up the next move higher. Getting closer to it, it's nice, but it could end up being just a bunch of hurry up and wait. All right, folks, let me know on your side of the screen. I'll do a little poll of the room. Long, short, flat, how are people positioned? Let me know, and I'll be able to trumpet that back to you if I get a chance to. So you feel free to type in the letter L if you're more long side biased in your day trading. Okay, if you decided to sit it out right now because going long is harder, and you're flat, type in F. If you're looking at resuming the short, okay, and you're actively pursuing short strategies, type in the letter S. So share in the chat and let me know. And I'm still in wait mode right now. The market's slowed down considerably. We're less than 20 minutes away from the end of the hour, and Eurozone closes. They're feeling the heat, literally and figuratively. So most of the responses that I'm getting right now are, if you take the flat response out of the picture, lean to long. Okay. And it's fairly skewed. So I just want folks to be aware that, look, I'm flat right now for a reason, right? We've come up off the low. We've had a couple of rounds of the bearish positions that got installed from the open covered. Okay, but we have not opened up the retrace to the halfway back or higher. We have not done that yet, right? So, and we are operating predominantly off of mathematical algorithmic sell signals. So take great care, right? I'm willing to jump into the longs if I'm able to bust through sell structures, resistive structures, down to a 1 minute chart because of the nature of the day. But I'm just as willing to come in and start looking at short again. And I'm wondering if I want to use the NASDAQ as an indication to trade the ES on the short side here, because the NASDAQ's been whippy down here, but the ES is a little slower and maybe a little cleaner. So if we're coming down, I'm going to watch 600. I'm going to watch 575, 550 as the area. On the NQ, and I'm going to try to short the ES using that. My short on the ES can technically be in play right now. So I'm in it right now. It went profit positive pretty much right away. It's not staying that way. And I want to see follow through to the downside. It's profit positive, $100 now, $60, $50. Let's see if it breaches the bottom of the channel and we can get a proper trade out of this. The NQ has come down below 600. So, and now below 575. So there we go. There we go. Let's see if we get a little more and a little more. And that's enough for me. So that built on my last $525 trade, another $125. So starting to feel good about the performance again. And Josh, that's a great point on the Dow, right? The Dow is being affected by, the Dow is a price-weighted index, right? So the Dow is a price-weighted index. A higher priced name is going to take things up. And it's not a market cap weighted index. So it does not necessarily have the same indications. It can, from a sticker shock standpoint, provide a cue to folks who are trading. But right now I'm seeing the NQ, okay, which is in control of the tape, come down below the 1 minute chart MSR channel, starting to come down below that 575 area. I'm using that as an insight to trade the ES short, and I'm going to take a short below the low of the last closed 1 minute bar. Because if the shorts want to resume, I've got the math backing that much more so than trying to play the retrace up. So I've entered a short again. but I'm not seeing it work right away. And it's coming right back up into the channel. If it gets batted back down, I'm okay with it. I want to see the NASDAQ pull it back down. I can stay in the trade for a moment as the NASDAQ is below the bottom of its 1-minute chart MSR channel. But this is not looking great. Now, the NASDAQ can very easily rip right back up and destroy this move. And it is. So I have to take 300 of a hit on that particular trade. Okay, so I tested it out, tried it out, could still end up coming into force. I don't know yet. I would need to see action below the bottom of the 1-minute chart MSR channel for the NQ dragging the S&P down. Right, so it's right at the border, but it's not giving up. So effectively, we've moved into a sideways consolidation range off the low, right? And what we can do effectively is look for where the bottom effectively would be. It doesn't have to be all the way down here. There's more consistent action testing the 550-ish area. So if this breaks below the 550-ish area, then I've got cause for more downside to follow through on the ES and obviously on the NQ itself as well. If it doesn't break the 550, then there might be some waiting involved, right? Trying to trade the long as we move back up through these resistive structures, not my thing. I'd have to go back to, I'm interested in trading the long above the 680, 690, 700 area, or ultimately wait for the 740 area. I know that's a lot of waiting, but typically I'm not going to do well inside the channel. So I'm just spreading it out right now so we can see it in all of its gory glory or detail. And you can see the ES, I'm glad I got out of the way of that last short attempt because it's not following through. The market's trying to firm up in a consolidation range. It's trying to hold on. Look, at this stage, as we move towards the end of the hour, one will have to, evaluate the likelihood of direction, for positions that have to come off the tape at 11 a.m. or just before 11 a.m. And if we rise from about 10:47 a.m. to 10:53 a.m., it is more likely that we're going to continue that rise into 11 a.m. It's just a little statistical window that seems to be useful to help forecast dynamics into the end of the hour, that 6-minute window between 10:47 and 10:53. So far, it has been rising. And that would encourage a continued bunch of shorts covering. And we could see a dramatic move up into the end of the hour if this pattern, which is a sideways range off of a low, okay, busts. And we're coming up to the top of the MSR channel. And I'm going to try a quick long right now. I want to see if I get direct continuation. If we come down below the top of the MSR channel, I'm going to have to take that trade off the table. And we tested it, but we bounced right back up off of it. I want to see if this continuation continues. There we go. Okay, I'm taking some profit because it's getting whippy. Got 145 there. And I'm going to flip my view now over to the ES, right? The ES is sitting at 760 again. It's got about 10 to 12 points of potential rise. I'm going to use the NQ's attempt to, continue up and potentially move into that round of next short covering to trade the ES more smoothly into the end of the hour. And I'm waiting for, 680, 690, 700, somewhere in this area. It's happening. So I'm going to flip us over to the ES, and I'm going to take that long on the ES right now, right here. Okay. And I want to look for follow through, right? I need that follow through to be there on the NQ. We're at 690. We're trying to rise. $680. I don't want to see price action go below 675. It just did. I'm out of the trade. Now, it can very easily bounce up off of this again and go, but risk management has to be key here because I'm trading something that is risky into the end of the hour, right? We have not flipped to buy signals across the board. Right? We're trying to get up to the top of a sideways range, and we're trying to open the door to then have another round of shorts cover. It's tried once, twice, 3, 4. This is the 5th time. Usually the market, has a good election of direction on the 3rd time. The market's like the number 3 quite a bit. It still hasn't given up, right? So it still hasn't given up. It's still trying. So that trade might still become viable overall. Now, as it's pushing up, I'm still going to use that as the insight to trade the ES long. And I'm going to now wait for the 67 marker to be breached. We breached it. I want to see the action above 67, top of the 5-minute chart MSR channel. And that's going to be my cue to get in. I saw some profit positivity. I want to see if I can ride this now into the end of the hour, because the NQ is now sitting at 730. It is moved into a resistive structure, but it's got the momentum to carry forward. So I'm waiting to see if I get that carry forward. I don't want a red bar. I want a green bar that grows and accelerates on the heels of the last acceleration bar. If a reversal happens, taking me below my entry line, got to get out of the way. Yeah, risk management, out of the way. We push up above the top of the bar, the trade can be tried again. But what's happening right now is we are right at the border, right? So we're right at the border. So I don't know who it was saying, come on, bulls, cheering on the trade. We are at the precipice of seeing another round of shorts potentially want to cover. And this is the exciting area for me to potentially try a long on the NQ. And I'm trying it. I'm in. It's working. It's working. It's working. And there's a $425 trade right there that has legs to continue, right? We've already charted out the range that it can take us up towards roughly the 820 to 850 area. And we did that by looking at the multi-time frame view with our technical structures and signals on screen. So the bottom of the MSR channel on the 5-minute chart is sitting at what? 786. Center of the channel is sitting at 836. So this is the pocket that we're trying to get into, or higher. Right? The next trading opportunity could technically be above 786. But as we get closer and closer to the end of the hour, if I'm not seeing this thing accelerate up, because we should be seeing, and Ruth Ann, I'm happy to hear that. That's amazing. It's really nice to see messages when folks come in and go, okay, the analytics are working, and it's helping me qualify accounts. That's amazing. I'm happy to hear that. So quick temperature check of the room. Give me a lucky number 7 in the chat. If so far the analytics, the trading has been helpful to you, is it aiding and abetting your practice? Feel free to share that with me in the chat. If it's going by too fast or there's too much jargon, be as specific as you want and give me some constructive feedback. Feel free to do that, because it's just going to help make the experience for all of us that much better. So we are now getting into that territory where another long can, potentially take place. We're very close to that happening. And it can take the ES, further above the 71, 72 area. We're at 74. The ES can get pulled up towards 86. We're at 75. So the long side trade on the NQ is, it's very volatile. It's a big, big move, right? So if one's trading in micros, it makes sense. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the pattern that I've got right here on the NQ, which is saying that it wants to continue to trade the ES if I see the NQ continue and breach 786. So we're at 765. We're not above the line yet that I need to see the NASDAQ above, but let's see. Well, that's great. I appreciate the feedback. That's amazing. So we're not getting follow through on the NQ, right? We're not above 29,786 at this moment, and we're headed closer to the end of the hour. It's still a likelier outcome than not, because we did see a decent rise in that little statistical window from 1047 to 1053, which should spook those that are still holding on to any bearish positions, right? We've had a complete dump, a complete pump almost. We're effectively trying to complete it to the waterline of the 9 a.m. hourly bar drop. And, you know, we're 85% there. A continuation up to cover that all is the likelier outcome. And on the NQ, if you look at it from a similar standpoint, let's put up the hourly chart right here. It's only halfway back, right? The ES is all the way back pretty much. This is halfway back. Well, Kai, it's my pleasure. And John W., happy to hear that. Fuad, happy to hear that. Okay, so we're back to 700, 29,700. I'm going to flip us back from the hourly bar to the smaller time frames right now. And as we get into the very end of the hour, we're going to take a pause. We'll take a few minutes of a bio break, a breather, and then we'll come back and we're going to assess the outlook for the balance of the morning, rest of the day, answer your questions, get a couple of trading strategies and tactics on deck for the balance of the day. And that's how I plan on being useful to the group at that time. So I'm not seeing follow through, right? We came right to the edge. And obviously folks are going to ask the question, well, should I try shorting it? Well, we're so close to the end of the hour that I'm not going to try another short. I did well in the second hour of trade on the retrace back up. Was able to get some shorts on the way down. But my first trade was not a great one. I want to be transparent about that. And I've clawed my way back up. So at this stage for me, reshorting this and looking for the whole thing to come back down again, sure, the signals are aligned across time frames, right? You go back to the 4-hour chart, it's in a sell signal state. We're below structures of falling resistance. You look at the 1-hour chart, we're in a sell signal state below structures of resistance. Look at the 5-minute chart. We're in a sell signal state again, below structures of resistance. You look at the 1-minute chart and it's still thinking about it, right? It's in a partial buy signal state right now. So, when we're looking across multiple time frames, of course, the obvious is if this thing wants to break down again, shorting will have a higher probability of success because of the aligned the signals across time frames. The math kind of echoes on top of each other. But I'm not taking a trade right into the end of the hour. Now, what I've seen is enough of a retrace back up on the primary global benchmark, the S&P E-minis, okay, enough of a retrace back up to say, there's less appetite to come in and short this again. If the appetite's going to grow anywhere, it's going to grow on the NQ. It's going to grow on Mag 7 type names. And we can use our tools and our layouts to help us identify that, but it'll all be consolidated in the NQ. So, to be as specific as I can, right? We had a plan where we were looking at shorts below 575, 550 on the NQ. That's still the same line, right? Back down below 550, 575. The door can open again quite widely for the market to unravel. Okay. I don't want to dig my heels in and say I don't think, it's very unlikely that no, I don't. I'm gonna just make the statement that look, below 550, the door's open again for this market to unravel back down to the lows or lower. And it's hard to argue with sell signal state 5-minute chart, sell signal state 1-hour chart, sell signal state 4-hour chart. So we've now crossed the hour, okay? And at this stage, I don't really need a break right now. If folks want me to directly continue, into the end of our time together, 11:30, just type lucky number 7 in the chat. If you would like a break, type in the letter B for break in the chat. And based on the responses, we'll make a decision on what to do. Because I'm good to just go straight through, as mentioned. So the majority of response is the lucky number 7 from what I'm seeing. So I'm gonna stick with that and just go right through. So there's a couple of things that I want to do in this segment, right? So what I'm trying to do is, like the title slide says, right? The title slide has the little bits of pre-market briefing, 9:15 to 9:30, 9:30 to 11, live trading and analytics, and then trade review and Q&A from the 11 to 11:30. So I'm trying to make that, it's kind of like the market read, the execution, the lessons. And of course, in the lessons, there's going to be Q&A. So during this next 30 minutes or so, or a little less than 30 minutes, I want to accomplish a few things. I want to look at projected outcome, where the market's likely going to go. I want to turn that into something transactable. And then I want to answer questions if there are questions that folks have, right? This is very much a day where very much a day. I see a big post from you, Louis, in the chat there. I'm looking to see what it says, because there's a lot of good stuff in there. It's echoing things that I say from what I can see. So that's interesting. Cool. Okay. I think you're using. Are you using AI for that? Interesting. In any. Yeah, you are. Okay. Cool. Very cool. So Louis is just putting a post in the chat, kind of synthesizing some of the insights that I'm producing live, which is very cool. Okay, but back on focus over here. So in the now, what's the projected outcome or direction for the market? Okay, in the now. So it's going to be an if this, then that discussion. If we are going to come back down below 29,550, it is very likely that we are going to make a lower low on the day for the NQ, and it'll drag the ES back down towards lows. It might not make lower lows, but it'll drag it back down towards lows. And this might be more useful for me to do this on a bigger time frame, so we can just see a little bit more. So the way that I'll do it is I'll just draw in some lines to make it as clean as I can. So effectively below the line on the screen, the door opens to, and let me just get a target zone in. So we need to identify where the, if we are coming back down again, the door opens at 550, like I was saying, 29,550. What we need to understand is it a move that takes us towards the lows, to the lows, below the lows? What's more likely? Well, let's go back up in time frame to the hourly chart. Look at any structures of support, underprice. There's nothing there. Look at the 4-hour chart. Anything there? No, nothing there. Then you go to the daily chart, which is what we were really using. Okay, 550 to 450, which is the center of the MSR channel on the daily chart, and then to the bottom of the MSR channel, which is roughly 29,100. So 450 and 100 are the next two areas that it could potentially go down to. So I'll go back here. And I want to cover that side off, and then I want to look at the side that the market's moving towards. We don't know that it will be successful at it yet, but to be very clear, there would be two target areas, roughly the 450 area, and I'll just change that, make it a color so that it's clean as to what I'm trying to describe here. We'll make it green. So 550 to 450, 450 to 100, right? 450 down to 100 becomes the next target area. So I'm just roughing it in. So that's the water line for short below. First 100 points or so, testing range to see if it actually materializes. below the 450 area, throttle opens up, right? There's obviously going to be some sort of a pause near the low. There's going to be bottom feeding bounce type players wanting to pick up the low. That's almost always present. But if it's a forceful breach of 450, we would probably see a very brief pause, like a bear flag over a couple of 5-minute bars at the high end, and then the next tranche down can materialize. What if it's the other way around, right? And what I'll do is I'll make this line at 29,550 colored in red here, so that it's very obvious that that's the short below line. Okay, and then I'll make the long above line, and we just need to identify the where that door opens fully. I think I'm going to have to use the water line on using volume profile with the tools together. So I'll just bring that back up to remind you. We need to get back up above effectively. Let's just make that full screen if I can. Wrong chart. See if I can get back to my chart. Clearly, I have a few too many windows open. So I'll let that figure itself out for a second here. But you've heard me talk about the 29,820 volume profile level. Yep, there it is. It's changed slightly, not dramatically. It's sitting right at, it's sitting at 815 now. Just spread it out, make sure I've got it right. Nope, my error. It's still at 820. So it's this little volume profile node right over here. Above that number, the door opens for significantly more up. Okay, so let's get that kind of figured out and on screen. So let me just get a long above line going. There's my copy, there it is. Close enough. I'll just make that blue. Okay. So that would be the better long above line. And then where can it take us up to? The idea would be pretty much full retrace. So 820 to 30,060 points roughly, where there will be naturally some challenge levels along the way. There's no question about that, but ultimately we'd be targeting a move back up into the low 30,000s, pretty much back to the waterline from where we dropped. And there will be some challenge levels along the ride, but that'll have to be evaluated live. So right now we're in a zone, roughly a 300 point, just a little less than 300 points in terms of range. If we come down below 550, it's not a lock that we're coming down to make lower lows for the day, right? The odds grow. Below 450, it's dramatically more likely. The probabilities grow significantly for us to come down to the 29,100 area. Okay. Above 29,820, the odds for a remainder of shorts covering, squeezing the market back up towards 30,000 and about 50, 70 points becomes very likely. Now, what I want to do is just simply go like this, and let me just do it this way. Okay, let's call this scenario A, and then let's call this below the red line scenario B. So this is now audience participation time. This is your opportunity to help your fellow traders. Let your fellow traders know which of the two outcomes do you think is more likely. So start using your chat and put the responses in. I've already started seeing them come in. Plan A, we get above 29,820 and up we go. Plan B, we come down below 29,550 and then breach 450 and down we go. So I'll wait for more responses to come in. I'm seeing them coming in fast and feverishly. Already got a very clear idea of which way folks think things are going to go. So let's round that up. I'll wait for a few more responses, then I'll give you my assessment of it. And effectively what we're doing right now is I'm trying to help prepare the trader for the balance of the day. So I'm not with you after 11:30 in this format here. So I'm going to be sitting back going, well, I hope I've left you with enough transactable insight to help make better decisions along the ride down, along the ride up. Either way, it plays itself out. So at this stage, I can simply say we are very skewed in our responses back. So the responses that I'm getting back are saying to me about 90% roughly of the responses are leaning to plan B. Now, a survey like this is a sentiment survey, and sentiment surveys are useful when we get extreme skewed responses. You get into the 90-10 kind of area of response. What does it usually mean? It usually means the opposite's going to happen. So I think we all know that, those that have been around the market, when you're looking at sentiment surveys like bull bear surveys, right? If bearishness is at an extreme, okay, usually that's the end of it, right? If bullishness is at an extreme, usually that's the end of it. Now, it's not that straightforward, but it works similar to that. So what I'm seeing from the responses I've gotten back in the chat is we're very skewed to plan B, being what plays out over here. And that is just going to force the trader to watch their back, right? We're almost back down to the 550 area. We're almost readying to breach it as we speak right now. So, be aware that this can turn into very easily a moment where folks go, uh-oh, everything looks like it's going to fall apart, and then it just does not. So right now, I can't argue against shorts at all, right? We've come down, we've breached the area. Those that are trying to short this thing below 550, I don't think that's off base at this stage. The ES is sitting at 74.27 at this age, 28. So it's had a whacking back down, and I might try one more trade. I'm going to try it on the ES using the NQ's move below 550. I'm going to actually just short it right where it is right now. I want to see if I get direct continuation lower. I don't want to see any green body growing on that bar, but 550 got breached and we're at 540 right now. I'm not seeing this come back down again. If we get above 29, I'm going to get out of the trade. That would be a 3-point loser on the trade. But right now I'm still holding it as I'm seeing the NQ drag the ES down. Now, I wasn't planning on trading during this time, but it is fairly clear that we're trying to breach 550. We're at 530. We're coming back up to 535, 545. I don't want to stay in the trade if I'm getting indecision. So what I hope I've been able to do is give you a plan on the NQ. The ES is going to be a reactionary outcome to what the NQ does. And we've got two levels that we'd have to break down through that are important, to really tell us that this thing is going to, unwrap. Well, one level that we'd have to break down through now, which is 450. 450 gets broken. We then are probably going to slow down near the lows that were made, around 10 a.m. And bear flag it, and then come down to the next target zone, which would be around 29,100. So we are well below 550. We're on our way down. Shorts make much more sense. The survey that we had was skewed. So still in the forefront of my mind, I'm sitting back going, hey, could this be a fake out, right? Which is just going to force me to look left and go, okay, next challenge level. There are some lows right over here, around 1016 to about 1020. If we take those out, down we go again. And we are coming down to those lows. So theoretically, this is another challenge level. And the ES is continuing down from here, right? So shorts on it can still work. The NQ is coming down lower. Now, I'm not going to focus as much on executing trades here because I am going to turn my attention to the chat now and answer some questions. But the goal that I wanted, one of the goals that I want to assess was right now what's happening, what's the plan for the balance of the day. I think those two goals have been hit. And I'm going to just scour through the chat to see if there's any questions. If you ask questions already, the chat flies by so fast. Feel free to put them in again, and I'll do my best to catch them. But this is your time to have a little bit of a Q&A overall. So this is a very unique day, right? A slam down, as nasty as we saw out of the gates, and then a reversal up, which is even more dramatic on the ES, right? We'd come pretty much back up to the waterline, and now slam back down again, almost back down towards the lows. This is an extraordinarily volatile environment. This is an environment where one wants to take great care on their decision-making in any of the directions. Now, short is obviously working. We're below the red line. We're coming down, to the next line to confirm that down is here to stay for minutes to an hour or more. We haven't breached it yet, but we're headed down towards it. We're about 25 points away from it. That would be 29,450. So let's watch for that. For those who are trading live right now, you're seeing it slow down into that line. But breaching 450 should encourage more shorts to pile on. Anyone that is still hanging on to longs to get the heck out of the way. And it should be a double barrel shotgun to the downside. So I'll leave that insight as is. I'm just going to turn my attention to the chat briefly here and see if there are, excuse me, any questions that I can answer. Excuse me, frog in my throat today. Okay, so I'm looking for it. So as you can see, we've came right down to that water line, 450, looking at, it's going to roll over, and it hasn't. So I see lots of requests for giveaways. I think that's going to have to wait for the next segment for the folks who are asking about that. And for Donna, how do we determine the 450 line? Very straightforward, actually. The benefit of multi-time frame and having, high probability technical structures is just a godsend, right? So if you look at where price is right now, it's just about 550 or around there. Right. And you're asking about, how did you determine that line has to be the confirmation that we are going to open up this range to go make lower lows? And we just did a sentiment survey, and the sentiment survey was pretty much 90-10 saying it has to be down. So I go back up in time frame, right? The 5-minute chart. I don't have any support structures like the channel or zones. I go to the hourly chart. I have nothing under there. I go to the 4-hour chart. I have nothing under there. Go to the daily chart, and that's usually as far up as I'm going to go, and voila, right there. Okay, the value is sitting at 445 right now. It's the center of the daily chart's MSR channel, the 3 lines. Below the center of that channel, it opens up room to the bottom of the channel, which is roughly 29,100. It's a little below it right now, I think. Yeah, just a smidge below it. It's at 29,094 points. So it is this line that's going to matter. Now, is it relevant to look at the structures on the S&P E-minis in order to help project for the NASDAQ? Based on the force of action on the NASDAQ, the answer is no. So I'm not using the primary market, which is the global benchmark, to kind of set levels that are going to be important for me to trade long or short. I'm going to use the NASDAQ pretty much solely to do so. I see, Peter, you're asking about template names. So With wealth charts, you've got a wealth of, pun intended, a wealth of resources. So you can go over to the hamburger menu. You can go over to where it says premium under the layout section. When you click on that premium, okay, there'll be layouts that are available from lots of different folks out there. The ones that you're looking at for me, you're looking for the pivot levels, for example, Peter, it would be in the Ziad's day and swing layout, right? It would be in the Ziad's day and swing layout. And I know there was a question from Hardio maybe the other day on layouts that I wasn't able to answer, but that is the answer. And let me know, where you are. And I see, Rudio, I understand that, right? The psychology of, repairing psychology is not always, at the end of the day, it always has to come down to, okay, are you able to get on the other side of it and make a go of it and do well? That's obviously going to be the repair at the end of the day. But the journey to the repair is as important, in my opinion. And part of that journey to the repair is me coming to you and going, here's a plan, right? I methodically did a sentiment survey, drew out the plan, did a sentiment survey, made it very clear that if I'm looking for a significant lower low on the day, okay, I need to not only see 550 breached, I need to see 450 broken, right? I need to see 450 broken. We got 450 broken, then it opens up this downside range. Now, we'd drawn that out. I'd already put plan A, plan B on the screen, and I asked the question, and folks were sitting back going, plan B, 90%. And I said, look, sentiment surveys work in the opposite manner of what you would think, right? If you get extreme bullishness or extreme bearishness, it's usually the opposite that ends up happening. You can see that from, the AAII bull bear sentiment surveys and read about that. But I'm just going to state that as a fact. And we're seeing that in real life right now, right? We saw everyone get bearish. We came right to almost to, we didn't actually hit the number. The low was 462. We didn't get down to 450 and turned on a dime and back up we go. Now, a journey from the short below line, 29,550, up to the long above line, there's, 250 odd points to 300 points of potential upside here. But this is a very challenging zone. Now, if I wanted to try to take on trades in this zone, I'm going to be a lot more comfortable above highs. Okay. It doesn't have to be above the highest high, but somewhere in and around the 720, 730 area. There's still about 80, 90, even up to 100 points of potential upside. Taking the trade up to that area may be successful, but it's not my cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea. And there it is. So folks, this takes us close to the end of our time. What I can add some value on right now is in other asset classes. I know folks like to look at gold and trade silver. If you'd like a little review on gold and silver, feel free to let me know in the chat, and I'll do a little work on that for you right now, because I do have some fairly clear opinions on what I'm seeing there, and that could lead to some trading plans. So I am getting a yes on that. And I'm also getting a roadmap on the ES request as well. So use the NASDAQ as the roadmap for the ES, right? We're in that testing zone right now, where if we are able to sustain above 29,550 and then get above 29,720, 2730, the ES is being pulled up by the NQ. Right, that is fairly clear. It could take over the role of lead, but I doubt it's going to be the more significant lead. So as far as roadmap for the ES goes, I would have the charts literally side by side, and I'd be using the NQ chart to guide me on the ES. But to make it straightforward for those who want to just look at the ES, okay, we've got a major water line at around 74.70 on the ES, at 74.70 on the ES, 74.72. Okay, to be more clear, it's where these little red lines are right over there. And in order to open up long side trading that has a better chance of success, it is above that number, right? So that's another 30 odd points higher than where we are right now. trading up to it may be a successful endeavor. Just take great care. Above 72, the door does open for a rise that can take us up to 75.15, maybe higher. And I wouldn't put it past the market to try to do that. Right? This has become a very unpredictable, very volatile market, and usually volatility and downside go hand in hand. But as we can see today, it works both ways quite well. So as far as roadmap goes, there's one singular line, 74.72. Above there, the upside opens up to 95 and then 75.15. Now on the way down, for the ES specifically, I would be using something in and around 74.20 as the lower water line for it opens up downside or short side trading. Okay, and but in any case, I would say use the NQ as your guide, and the NQ at this point, how is it sitting? It's still not willing to commit to getting up to 820. But it's still above the 550 marker and struggle busting its way to build some support and then potentially push through. So at this stage, I don't think I would give in and just hit the long button and set it and forget it. I don't think that that's the case. I think I'd be very cautious on the rise. I'd be looking at 730-ish, 720-ish as more concrete to take on longs up to 820. And then above 820, there's a lot of room, right? There's a lot of room. So I would suggest taking a screenshot of the NQ chart, or at least noting down the levels. And then I'm happy to give you a couple of a minute or so here on gold and silver to be very clear on it. When you're in a risk-off day, usually you're not seeing the euro rise. You're seeing the euro fall. You're seeing the dollar rise. Usually, this is atypical, right? We've got the euro rising. With the dollar falling, less of a safe haven bid or a dash for cash, even with all the volatility we're seeing in equities. So with a rising euro, a falling dollar, you're likely are going to see silver and gold try to shine up a little bit more. So let's go with the bigger metal first. Let's actually go with gold first. And it is still in positive territory at this stage. And currently up about 0.7%. The quick, dirty, but effective insight is using the pivot levels. While it remains above 40.23, the potential to rise up to 40.75 is greater. Below 40.23, it is not obvious that it will come down and make new lows. It would have to be watched very carefully. I think that what we're seeing here is more so a positively divergent lower low that will end up resolving to the upside. I'm not a bull or a bear on gold or metals at all, but I am seeing a concerted effort for the dollar to hit a ceiling and start coming down, or at least stay stagnant. That allows some room for gold to breathe or to get shined up, and same with silver as well. And that takes me, and for silver specifically, the number on silver would be $58.80, which we're pretty much at. Above $58.80, a retrace up to the $60.44 marker is likely. Below 57.85, downside risks grow. And this is on silver futures. All right, folks, this takes me to the end of the time that we have together for this morning. How was the morning for you? Let me know. I hope that you got something great out of it. I hope that you're learning and you want to keep coming back to learn more and execute more. Feel free to throw your comments in the chat, but I'm turning the handle over now and bringing my session to a close. We'll see you back here again tomorrow at 9:15 with me. Bye for now, everyone.